If you keep doing these things, she'll never respect you, no matter how much she says she cares. Respect isn't something you ask for. It's something you earn through your actions, your confidence, and your boundaries. Stop chasing her approval and start commanding her respect. Because the moment you value yourself, she'll have no choice but to take you seriously. If you found this powerful, hit that subscribe button because on this channel, we don't chase validation, we build value. Stay tuned for more real talk on confidence, relationships, and the psychology of power. One of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships is the habit of over-explaining themselves. It often comes from a good place, wanting to be understood, to avoid conflict, or to make sure she sees your perspective. But here's the truth. The more you explain yourself, the less confident you appear. Every time you feel the need to justify your words, your choices, or your actions, you're subtly communicating that you doubt your own decisions. And when you doubt yourself, she will too. Women respect certainty, not insecurity. They might challenge your opinion, question your choices, or test your resolve. Not because they want to control you, but because they want to see if you'll stand firm. When you immediately jump into defense mode or long explanations, you're showing her that your confidence depends on her approval. That's where the respect starts to fade. A strong man speaks clearly, calmly, and directly. He doesn't feel the need to prove why he made a certain decision or why he feels a certain way. He lets his actions speak. When he says no, it's not followed by a nervous laugh or a lengthy reason. It's simply no. When he says yes, it's not because he feels pressured, it's because he means it. This kind of self-assured communication makes a woman feel secure, even if she doesn't always agree with him. She might not like every decision he makes, but she'll respect the way he stands by them. That's the difference between being seen as a boy and being respected as a man. The truth is, over-explaining is often rooted in fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of rejection, or fear of conflict. But trying to win someone's approval through endless explanation only makes you look less grounded. Think about it. Powerful men in any setting, whether in business, leadership, or relationships, don't justify themselves constantly. They make their point once, clearly and confidently, and then move forward. They understand that silence and self-control speak louder than words. When you don't rush to explain yourself, you give off an energy of calm authority. It shows that you're comfortable with your own truth, and that comfort is what earns respect. You also have to understand that sometimes women will test your composure. They'll question your choices, not necessarily because they disagree, but because they want to feel your strength. They want to know that you won't crumble under pressure. If every time she challenges you, you start defending yourself or seeking her validation, she'll sense that weakness immediately. But if you respond with calm confidence, maybe even with a smile, she'll feel your grounded energy, and that's what makes her take you seriously. So stop explaining yourself so much. You don't owe anyone a full breakdown of your decisions or your emotions. You owe yourself honesty, consistency, and confidence. When you trust your own choices, the world and the women in it will follow your lead. Because real respect begins when you no longer feel the need to convince others to give it to you. When a man tolerates disrespect, even in small doses, he teaches others exactly how to treat him. Many men confuse patience or understanding with weakness, thinking that by avoiding conflict, they're maintaining peace. But what actually happens is the opposite. Every time you let a disrespectful comment, sarcastic jab, or dismissive attitude slide, you slowly lose her respect. Disrespect doesn't usually start loud. It begins subtly with small tests, an eye roll, a mocking tone, a comment that undermines you in front of others. If you ignore these signs, she begins to realize she can get away with more. And once she knows that your boundaries are flexible, your authority in the relationship starts to vanish. Respect is not something you can ask for, it's something you command by the way you respond. The key isn't to react emotionally or with anger. That only proves she can control you. The real power lies in calm, assertive action. When she crosses a line, you don't need to yell or lecture her. You simply make it clear through your behavior that disrespect has consequences. That could mean ending the conversation, walking away, or taking a step back emotionally. A man who values himself doesn't chase explanations from someone who's mocking his worth. He removes himself from the situation entirely. That quiet strength is what separates men who are respected from those who are tolerated. Women instinctively test boundaries, not out of cruelty, but because they want to feel your strength. They want to know if you can handle pressure, if you can stand your ground without losing composure. When she disrespects you and you do nothing, she might not consciously think, "He's weak." But subconsciously, that's exactly how she'll start to feel. Her attraction fades not because she wants to stop liking you, but because she can't look up to a man who doesn't protect his own dignity. Remember this. The moment she stops respecting you, she stops seeing you as a man she can trust. Being respectful doesn't mean being passive. You can be calm and kind while still enforcing your boundaries. It's about drawing the line between understanding and self-respect. You can forgive mistakes, but you don't excuse patterns. You can listen, but you don't tolerate humiliation. The difference between strong men and weak ones isn't aggression, it's clarity. Strong men know what they will and will not accept, and they stand by it even when it's uncomfortable. In the end, how you handle disrespect defines how seriously she'll take you. A man who values himself doesn't need to argue about his worth. He demonstrates it. When you make it clear through your actions that you won't stay where respect is missing, people start treating you differently. You earn their respect not by demanding it, but by refusing to settle for anything less. And once a woman realizes that disrespect has no place in your life, she'll begin to see you as a man worth admiring, not testing. Trying too hard to please a woman is one of the fastest ways to lose her respect. Many men believe that by constantly doing things for her, always agreeing with her, and putting her happiness above their own, they'll earn her love and admiration. But what actually happens is the opposite. When you prioritize pleasing her over being true to yourself, you stop being authentic. You start bending your values, opinions, and even your personality just to make her happy. At first, she might appreciate the effort, but over time, she'll sense that your kindness isn't rooted in confidence, it's rooted in fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of not being enough. And once she senses that fear, the respect starts to fade. A woman may enjoy attention, but she doesn't respect desperation. She might smile when you shower her with compliments or do everything she asks, but deep down she knows when it's coming from insecurity. True confidence doesn't need to prove itself. A man who truly values himself doesn't need to constantly prove his worth by pleasing others. He already knows his worth. That's why he can give freely without expecting anything in return. The moment you start giving in hopes of being liked, you lose your power. You stop being the man she admired and start becoming the man she controls. Women are naturally drawn to men who have direction and boundaries. They respect men who can say no without fear, who can disagree respectfully, and who don't lose themselves in the process of trying to make someone else happy. When you're always available, always saying yes, always putting her before everything else, she subconsciously begins to feel like you have nothing else going for you. You become predictable, and predictability kills attraction. What women truly want is a man who has his own life, his own purpose, and his own standards. Someone who can love them deeply but not lose himself in the process. There's a difference between being kind and being a people pleaser. Kindness comes from strength. It's the choice to give even when you don't have to. People pleasing comes from weakness. It's the fear of losing approval. One creates respect, the other destroys it. You have to be willing to risk her disappointment in order to earn her respect. That means you don't always agree. You don't always comply. You don't always put her feelings above your values. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stand your ground, even when she doesn't like it. In the end, women don't fall for the man who gives them everything. They fall for the man who makes them feel something. Strength, security, leadership, and certainty. So stop trying to please her at the cost of your own identity. Be the man who pleases himself first, not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. Because when you respect yourself enough to set boundaries, she will automatically see you as someone worth taking seriously. And that's when she truly begins to admire you. Nothing makes a woman lose respect faster than a man who complains about his problems, but never takes action to fix them. We've all met people who talk endlessly about what's wrong in their lives, their job, their finances, their relationships, yet they never move an inch toward a solution. That energy is heavy, draining, and deeply unattractive. Women are not looking for a man who has no struggles. They're looking for a man who can face his struggles with strength and direction. When you constantly talk about what's wrong but never do anything about it, you project weakness. You show that you'd rather stay a victim than take responsibility. And no woman can truly respect a man who refuses to take control of his own life. Action is the foundation of masculine energy. It's what creates movement, growth, and progress. Complaining, on the other hand, is stagnant. It signals that you're stuck in your emotions and not in your purpose. When you spend your time venting about your situation, you may feel momentarily relieved, but it doesn't change anything. Over time, that habit trains your mind to focus on problems instead of solutions. You start believing that life is happening to you instead of for you. That mindset repels respect, not only from women, but from everyone around you. A man who takes action, even small action, stands out immediately. He might face the same problems as everyone else, but he approaches them differently. Instead of complaining about being broke, he studies, works harder, or builds something new. Instead of blaming others for a bad relationship, he reflects and learns from it. That kind of mindset shows strength, maturity, and leadership, traits that naturally command respect. Women are instinctively drawn to direction. They want to feel that the man they're with knows where he's going, even if he's not there yet. It's not about being perfect, it's about showing progress. When you complain, you send a silent message that you're powerless. When you act, even imperfectly, you show that you're in control. And control is deeply attractive. It doesn't mean being emotionless, it means having emotions but not letting them rule you. A woman can handle your honesty, your frustration, or even your vulnerability, as long as she sees that you're doing something about it. But once she senses that you've settled into self-pity, she'll stop taking you seriously. So stop talking about what's wrong and start moving toward what's right. Replace "I can't" with "I'll find a way." Replace excuses with discipline. Replace frustration with focus. The moment you start acting instead of complaining, everything changes. Not just how she sees you, but how you see yourself. A man who acts earns respect naturally because he leads by example. And in the end, that quiet determination will speak louder than any complaint ever could. Putting a woman on a pedestal is one of the most damaging things a man can do to his own self-respect. Many men think that by treating her like she's above everyone else, including themselves, they'll win her heart. They believe constant admiration, endless praise, and self-sacrifice will make her value them more. But what really happens is the opposite. When you place her on a pedestal, you automatically place yourself below her. You create an imbalance in the relationship. And she begins to sense that you see her as more valuable than you see yourself. That imbalance kills attraction and slowly erodes respect. At first, she might enjoy the attention. She might smile when you call her perfect, flawless, or the best thing that's ever happened to you. But soon she starts to notice that your admiration isn't coming from strength, it's coming from need. You're not complimenting her because you appreciate her. You're doing it because you're afraid of losing her. And when a woman senses that kind of fear, she starts to see you as emotionally dependent. She may like you, but she won't take you seriously. Respect doesn't come from worshiping her. It comes from standing beside her as her equal. Women don't want to be worshipped, they want to be inspired. They're drawn to men who have purpose, direction, and confidence. Men who make them feel safe and excited, not men who make them feel like they're in control. When you put her on a pedestal, you make her the prize while forgetting that you're one too. You lose the mystery, the challenge, and the masculine energy that originally attracted her. Instead of leading with confidence, you start seeking her permission for everything, and that's when she starts losing interest. A healthy relationship is built on balance, mutual respect, not obsession. You should admire her qualities, support her goals, and appreciate her beauty, but never at the cost of your own value. The man she truly respects is the one who sees her clearly, flaws and all, and still chooses to stay, not because he needs her to feel complete, but because he wants to share his completeness with her. When you treat her as human, not divine, she feels safe to be herself. When you see her as your equal, she feels connected. But when you idolize her, she feels pressure, and eventually she'll distance herself. Remember, confidence isn't about putting others down. It's about never putting yourself beneath anyone. When you stop chasing her approval and start focusing on your own growth, you naturally rise in her eyes. She begins to look up to you, not because you worship her, but because you respect yourself. The moment you realize that you don't need to put her on a pedestal to make her stay, is the moment she'll finally see you as the kind of man she can truly admire. Strong, grounded, and equal. Nothing destroys a woman's respect faster than a man who doesn't keep his word. When you say one thing and do another, even if it seems small, you send a powerful message that you can't be trusted. Consistency is what builds credibility. It's not about grand promises or big speeches. It's about doing exactly what you said you would, every single time. A man's word is his identity. When you break it, you don't just disappoint her, you weaken the foundation of the relationship. Trust and respect are built on reliability, not perfection. A woman doesn't need you to always be right, but she needs to know you mean what you say. Many men underestimate how deeply women observe their consistency. She notices when you cancel plans at the last minute, when you say you'll change something but don't, or when your actions don't match your words. These little things may not seem important to you, but to her, they're proof of your character. Every time you fail to follow through, you chip away at her confidence in you. Over time, she stops believing your words, and once that happens, even love begins to fade. Because no matter how much she feels for you, if she can't rely on you, she can't take you seriously. Keeping your word isn't about impressing her, it's about respecting yourself. When you say you'll do something and actually do it, you reinforce your own integrity. You show that your words have weight, and the world, including women, naturally respects people whose words carry weight. It shows discipline, focus, and strength, qualities every high-value man possesses. On the other hand, when you make promises you don't keep, it doesn't just make her question your reliability. It makes you question yourself. You start to lose confidence, and that lack of self-trust seeps into everything you do. A man who lives by his word doesn't need to talk about loyalty or honesty, he embodies it. If he says he'll show up, he does. If he says he'll call, he calls. If he says he'll handle something, it gets handled. And when he can't, he takes responsibility without excuses. That kind of consistency creates emotional safety, which is something women crave more than anything. It's not about being perfect, it's about being dependable. Even when you make mistakes, owning them builds far more respect than pretending they don't exist. In the end, your word is your power. It's what separates you from the crowd and defines your character. You don't need to be the richest, the strongest, or the smartest. But if people can trust that what you say is what you'll do, you'll stand out in any room. So stop making empty promises just to please others. Say less, but mean every word. Follow through even when it's inconvenient. Because when your actions and your words align, she won't just take you seriously. She'll trust you, respect you, and see you as the kind of man who always stands tall in his truth.